It's Monday morning. The alarm goes off at 6:15. You lie there for a second, staring at the ceiling, doing that mental math you do every single week. Did I save anything last month? Where did it all go? And here's the thing, you're not broke. You have a job. A real one. With a salary and benefits and probably a desk with your name on it, metaphorically speaking. You pay your bills. You're not behind on rent. From the outside, everything looks completely fine. But on the inside, you feel like you're running on a treadmill that someone secretly sped up while you were sleeping. Every month, the paycheck hits. Every month, it disappears. And every single month you tell yourself, next month I'll save more. Next month I'll get ahead. Next month comes. Nothing changes. And you start to wonder, is it me? Am I just bad with money?
No.
And today, I'm going to prove it to you with math. Hi, you can call me Miss Money, and I spend way too much time thinking about why hardworking people with decent salaries still feel financially stuck, and more importantly, what the system never bothered to teach them about why. If you're someone who earns a steady income but still feels like you're barely moving forward, like your money just evaporates every month no matter how hard you try, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we are going to run the numbers that nobody ran for you in school. We're going to look at a $60,000 salary, which sounds totally reasonable, right? And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how that $60,000 quietly becomes something much, much smaller. And more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's the thing about employment that nobody talks about at your graduation ceremony. They hand you a certificate, shake your hand, send you off into the workforce, and act like the formula is simple. Get a job, earn money, build a life. And look, for a while, it feels like it's working. You get the job. The salary feels real. The direct deposit hits, and for a moment, just a moment, you feel like an adult who has figured it out. But here's what most people don't realize. The moment you start that job, you step onto a financial treadmill. And the cruelest part? The treadmill looks exactly like progress. It feels like forward motion. But unless you understand the mechanics underneath it, you can run on that thing for 10, 15, 20 years and end up almost exactly where you started. Let me explain what I mean. You earn $60,000 a year. That's your number. That's what you tell people when the topic comes up. $60,000. But here's my question. $60,000 compared to what? Because inflation exists. And inflation doesn't care about your salary negotiations. Inflation, on average, runs between 3 and 7% every single year. What that means in plain language is that the same amount of money buys you less stuff every 12 months. Groceries, rent, utilities, transport, everything gets more expensive. Your salary, if it doesn't grow at exactly the same rate, is actually shrinking in terms of real purchasing power. Here's the math, and I want you to actually sit with this number. If inflation averages just 5% a year, your $60,000 salary today will only buy you what $37,000 bought a decade ago. You didn't get a pay cut. Nobody touched your salary. But the world quietly got more expensive around you, and your income never kept up. Now, your employer probably gave you raises, right? Maybe 3%, maybe 4% in a good year. And you felt grateful. I get it, I would too. A raise is a raise. But here's where it gets really interesting. If inflation is running at 5% and your raise is 3%, that's not a raise. That's a negative raise. You are mathematically earning less purchasing power than you were the year before, even while celebrating a pay increase. Every year, without exception. Every year, you get a little bit poorer, just slowly enough that you don't notice it happening. That is the first layer of the trap.
All right.
So we've established that your $60,000 is quietly eroding. But that's just the beginning. Because now I want to talk about something that goes even deeper, and this is the part that genuinely makes people uncomfortable when they see it for the first time.
Your time.
When you take a salaried job, you're making a very specific trade. You give your employer 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, roughly 50 working weeks a year. Run that math. That's about 2,000 hours. That's the exchange. $60,000 for 2,000 hours. $30 an hour, more or less. That feels okay, right? $30 an hour isn't bad. Except, and this is the part nobody tells you, you're not actually working 2,000 hours for that money. Your job takes more from your life than just the hours on your timesheet. Let's talk about commuting. The average worker spends about 45 minutes each way getting to and from work. 90 minutes a day. That's 375 hours a year, just in transit. Just sitting in traffic, standing on a platform, staring out a bus window. Nearly 10 extra weeks of your life, every single year. Unpaid. Unrecognized.
Just gone.
So now let's redo the math. Your job doesn't take 2,000 hours. It takes 2,375. $60,000 divided by 2,375 hours. Your real hourly rate just dropped from $30 to $25. But we're not done. Because your job also takes mental and emotional time that never appears on any timesheet. The Sunday evening anxiety creeping in before Monday morning. The decompression time after a stressful day where you're technically home but your brain is absolutely still at the office. The half hour you spend mentally replaying that conversation with your manager while you're supposed to be having dinner. When you count every hour your job actually touches, that real rate falls somewhere between $18 and $22 an hour. Now here's what most people don't realize, and this is the part that genuinely changes how you see your paycheck. Your job doesn't just cost you time. It costs you actual literal money to do every single day.
Think about it.
Transport, gas, train fare, parking, car maintenance. The average commuter spends between $3,000 and $4,000 a year just getting to and from work. Work clothes. You have an entire wardrobe that exists purely because someone else's dress code requires it. Suits, formal shoes, dry cleaning, professional pieces you would never buy otherwise. That's up to $1,500 a year, spent on clothes you wear for them. Lunch. Look, you could eat at home every day. But work pulls you out of the house, and the costs follow. Even a modest $6 lunch, 250 working days a year, that's another $1,500 gone. And for parents? Here's the brutal one. Childcare. In most cities, childcare costs have risen faster than wages. For a lot of working parents, the entire second income in a household barely covers what it costs to make that income possible in the first place. Nobody puts that in the financial plan. Add all of that up. Your job costs you, conservatively, between $8,000 and $15,000 a year just to show up. Subtract that from your $60,000. You're now actually keeping closer to $46,000 in real value. And that's before taxes. Now you might be thinking, Miss Money, taxes are just part of life. Everybody pays them. And yes, that's true. But here's what most people don't know. Employment is the most heavily taxed way most people will ever earn income. When you work a salary job, you pay tax on your gross income. Every dollar that comes in, the government gets its share first. After federal and state taxes, depending on where you live, your $60,000 actually lands in your account as roughly $43,000. But here's the thing that should make you pause. A business owner doesn't pay tax on revenue. They pay tax on profit. That's revenue minus expenses. Everything the business spends to generate income can be deducted before the tax calculation even happens. An investor who holds assets long enough pays tax at a significantly lower rate than you do on your salary. The tax code was written with owners in mind, not workers. That was always the design, and nobody set you down to explain it. So let's update our running total. After taxes, $43,000. After job-related costs, roughly $29,000 in actual value. You thought you earned $60,000. You are living on $29,000. The math was always there. You just never ran it. But wait, because there's one more cost I haven't mentioned yet. And this one doesn't show up in any budget. Nobody tracks it. But it is absolutely costing you thousands. Stress. Chronic work-related stress has direct and measurable financial consequences on how you spend money. Research shows that stressed people spend somewhere between 12 and 18% more on discretionary purchases than their non-stressed counterparts.
Think about that.
The takeout order you place because after a 10-hour day, the idea of cooking feels genuinely impossible? That's stress spending. The thing you bought on the weekend and justified with, I earned this after the week I just had? That's stress spending too. The little treat-yourself purchases that feel completely reasonable in the moment but add up quietly over the course of a year? Stress. Spending. That stress premium, convenience food, impulse purchases, reward shopping can add anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a year in spending you wouldn't otherwise do. And that's before we talk about what chronic stress does to your health. Back pain, sleep disorders, anxiety, high blood pressure. These aren't just unpleasant, they are financially expensive. Medication, therapy, doctor visits, days of work missed. Stress-related health costs run into thousands of dollars annually for many people. Your job is quietly making you sick, and being sick costs money. So when you total it all up, commute, clothing, food, childcare if applicable, stress spending, health, the true hidden cost of employment is well over $14,000 a year. That's not a rounding error. That's a significant portion of your income, silently disappearing every single year.
All right.
I want you to do something for me right now, even if you don't do it until later tonight. Open a blank document, or grab a piece of paper. 2 columns. Left side, everything you own. Savings account, car, investments if you have them, anything of real value. Right side, everything you owe. Student loans, car payments, credit card balances, any other debt.
Subtract.
That's your net worth. That's the real number, not your salary, not your job title. That's your actual financial position right now. For a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, that number is negative. Not because they're irresponsible, not because they're bad with money, but because the structure of how they earn has been quietly working against them the entire time. Here's what I need you to understand. Stop blaming yourself for being bad at saving. The problem isn't your discipline. No budgeting app is going to fix a structural problem. No no-spend challenge closes a $17,000 gap. You're not failing at personal finance. You're experiencing the very predictable outcome of a system that was never designed to make workers wealthy. It was designed to make owners wealthy. This is where it gets really interesting, and this is the single most important distinction in this entire video. Income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is what keeps you alive. It pays the rent, buys food, keeps the lights on. It's essential, but it is not sufficient. Wealth is what continues when you stop. It works without you. It survives you. It compounds over time. The wealthy do not build net worth through salaries. They build it through assets. Things that generate income while they sleep. Real estate, business equity, investments, royalties. These things have a life beyond the person who created them. A salary is not an asset. A salary is income that requires your physical presence every single day to continue. The moment you stop showing up, it stops. There's no residual value. No continuation. You cannot sell a salary. You cannot pass it down. It has zero value beyond your next pay cycle. And here's the part that genuinely unsettles people when they sit with it. Every year you spend entirely focused on your salary, not building even one asset, is a year of lost compounding. Because compounding doesn't just work on money. It works on time. The earlier you start building assets, the more time they have to grow. And every year you delay is a year that math works against you instead of for you.
Think about it this way.
2 people in the same office, same salary, same starting point. One person builds a small investment account, a side income, anything, one asset, however modest. The other person resets to zero every month. 10 years later, those 2 people are in completely different financial positions. Not because one earned more, but because one understood that income keeps you alive while assets set you free. Now, and this is important, I am not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. That is not the point of this video. Look, your job serves a function. It pays the bills while you build. It provides stability during transition. And honestly, once you understand what it actually costs you, your relationship with your job changes in a really useful way. But I do want you to run what I call the exit calculus. 2 questions. First, what does staying cost you? Continued inflation erosion. Continued stress. Continued net worth stagnation. Another 10 years at this rate produces the same outcome as the last 10. Nothing compounds. Nothing grows. The treadmill keeps moving. Second question, What does changing cost you? Uncertainty, transition time, possibly a short-term income reduction, discomfort. Here's the difference between those two lists. The costs of staying are permanent and compounding. Every year you stay locked in the same structure, the gap grows. The costs of changing are mostly temporary. And here's what most people don't realize. The people who figured this out didn't escape the system all at once. Nobody does that overnight. They just stopped pretending the system worked for them and started making it work a little more in their favor. Bit by bit, year by year. A side income, even small, even inconsistent. Something that earns without requiring your office badge. An investment account you actually fund. Even $50 a month, invested consistently, is a completely different direction from zero. Compound interest doesn't care how modest you start. It only cares that you start. A skill you already have, monetized outside your job. Writing, design, teaching, consulting, analysis. Something real. Something small enough to begin today. That's all the beginning requires. You don't fix this in 1 year. You make it slightly less broken every year. That is the method. Okay, I need to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention in personal finance content, and that's the psychology of why this cycle is so hard to break. Because here's the thing, the treadmill isn't just financial. It's psychological too. When you're stressed from work, your brain craves immediate relief. That's not weakness, that's neurochemistry. Your brain is trying to cope with a genuine drain on your energy and your sense of agency. And convenience spending, reward purchasing, those little moments of treating yourself, they provide a real, immediate hit of relief. The problem is that the relief is temporary and the cost is permanent. And every dollar spent on coping with the job is one less dollar that could be building you out of the need for the job. Now, you might be thinking, Miss Money, this sounds bleak. What am I actually supposed to do with this? And I hear you. I do.
But I want you to notice something.
The discomfort you're feeling right now as you watch this video, that's not a bad feeling to sit with. That discomfort is useful information. It means something has registered. It means the numbers have landed. Most people never let the numbers land. They look away.
They close the tab.
They tell themselves they'll figure it out later. You're still here, which means you're already doing the thing most people won't.
All right.
Let's get practical. Because information without action is just stress with extra steps. Here are 4 things you can do, not all at once, but one step at a time. Step 1. Calculate your real hourly rate. Not the advertised number, the actual number. Take your salary, divide it by the real hours your job takes, including commute, decompression time, Sunday anxiety. Then subtract your job-related costs. Then subtract taxes. What number do you get? Write it down. Put it somewhere you can see it. Let it be uncomfortable. That discomfort is the beginning of a different decision-making framework. Step 2. Stop treating income and wealth as the same thing. They are not. Your income pays for today. Wealth pays for the future, including a future where you're not working. Ask yourself once a week, did I do anything this week to build wealth, or did I only manage income? That question alone will start to shift how you allocate your time and money. Step 3. Build one asset, not 10. Not a complex portfolio.
1.
An investment account with automatic contributions, even small ones. A side income from a skill you already have. A piece of property. Something outside your salary that can grow on its own. One asset. That's the whole assignment for year 1. Step 4. Track your net worth every year. Not your salary. Not your spending. Your net worth. Assets minus liabilities. One number, tracked once a year. Watch it move, even slowly, in the right direction. Because the scoreboard isn't your performance review next quarter. It's your net worth 10 years from right now. Monday will come again. The alarm will go off at 6:15. You'll lie there for a second, and you'll do that mental math you always do. But here's what I want you to notice the next time that happens. You won't just be thinking about where the money went. You'll be thinking about what you're building. Those are 2 completely different questions. One keeps you on the treadmill. The other starts building the door out of it. You are not bad with money. You were never taught the real rules of the game. And the real rules, inflation, erosion, the hidden cost of employment, the difference between income and wealth, the power of assets and compounding, those are learnable. They're not complicated. They just require someone to actually explain them clearly, which is exactly why I'm here. Your salary is eroding. Your real hourly rate is lower than you think. Your job has hidden costs you've never counted.
But you saw it today.
And seeing it clearly is where every real change begins. Comment, "I see it now," in the comment section, because if this video made something click for you today, I want to know. And if you know someone who needs to run these numbers, share this with them. Seriously. Sometimes the most useful thing you can do for someone you care about is send them a video that tells them the truth. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is exactly the kind of content we dig into here every week. The math, the psychology, and the practical steps to actually change your financial picture. I'm Miss Money, and I'll see you in the next one.